Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here. Welcome back to Painted Studio. It is a chilly Monday afternoon and we are doing all kinds of stuff. It has been very, very busy here. Give me just a sec to see if I can pop myself up. Here we go. Set the commenting so I can see whoever's commenting. And today we're going to work on a couple of projects. One of the things we're going to do is try some water gilding on our new gesso product. We're also then going to finish up our Bird Woman with Roberson's liquid metallics or liquid metals. I'm really excited to try this. Now, understand something. I am a very good gilder on glass. Verigame, great. I'm a great, if not messy, mordant gilder, both with acrylic size and oil-based size. I have not really done a whole lot of water gilding, so this is either going to be really successful or a real failure. But I figured if I can make it work on our brand new gesso product, so can anybody else. So I'm going to flip my camera down. We're not going to spend a lot of time chatting away right now. I want to get going on this. I want to hopefully be successful with it. Okay, so this is a piece of wood. It's actually drilled at both ends. I think it was meant to be an extension for something because it's got screws drilled in, threads drilled into it, but I thought these would make very cool candle holders. So I have painted this one. I have two of them. I painted this one with our red gesso, G-E-S-S-A-U, our product from Whitson's. And I have applied several layers. Now, I've sanded one spot. I have not sanded the whole thing because I didn't know whether or not I'm going to discover I need to put another layer or two on. I may not have put enough on, but we're going to find out. So the first thing you do after everything's dried is you come back and you sand your surfaces nice and smooth, because if you don't sand them smooth, all your little brush marks will become part of your finish, which with water gilding you really don't want to have happen. I might have needed a layer here because I can see a little bit of the wood peeking through. Not that's big a deal because there's a little acrylic in here, so it's probably sealed that up nicely, but we're going to find out. Now, traditional water gilding, you're applying gesso, layers and layers of gesso, then sanding, then applying several layers of bowl, then sanding. Because of the way this product works, it's designed to be the gesso and bowl all in one. And as you can see, it sands very fine. This is a clay product. There's a lot of mineral in here. So we're going to see how I do, because at this point, the failure is on my technique and not on the product. Just understand that. So I have some Gilder's Liquor here, which is distilled water and gelatin. I use vegetable gelatin capsules. We're going to try that, see how it works. I've worked with them before. They're pretty good. A lot of gilders work with diamonds versus capsules. I have capsules. My diamonds were all kind of tired, so I didn't feel like using them. And we're just going to use some of this sort of random gold bits that I have floating around, and we're going to test this. So I've got my gold on my pad. I'm kind of getting everything set up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take a gilder's tip. I have this one right here. Make sure I've cleaned it out a little bit. And what you're going to do is take a little tiny bit of Vaseline. You've seen me do this before. Now, if you're an oily skin person, you don't need to do this. You can just simply run the tip across your jawline, and that will pick up enough oil. I am an extremely dry skin person, so that's not going to help me much. But as you can see, even rubbed in, you can barely see any shine from it on my arm. I've used distilled water and gelatin in here, and we're going to take what is called oh Lord, I lost my word. A wash brush, sorry. I'm going to give it a stir because the capsule was dropped on the bottom. I want to make sure that the gelatin's distributed all the way through the water. Oh, and I know what else I wanted to do. I wanted to put just a spritz of alcohol in here. That helps the water evaporate a little faster. Now, I'm not going to give you all the formulas and stuff for this. You can look it up online. I highly recommend taking a class to do this. This is the one class that I keep saying I'm going to take, and I never do. I just learn from watching others. So let's hope I've learned enough to make this successful. So I'm applying the Gilder's liquor on here. Doesn't matter if it runs down the side. That won't be seen in the end. All right, I'm going to take a little bit there. I'm going to pick up my gold leaf. Clearly, I may not have enough Vaseline on my arm to pick it up well. Let's move that brush out of the way. And then I'm going to lay it down on here. And the idea is that it should sort of suck down to the surface, although I'll help tamp it down a little bit with my tip. And as the moisture from the Gilder's liquor evaporates, this will get tighter and shinier, and I'll be able to burnish it with a burnishing agate. Now this is one of these, what a burnishing agate looks like. This is called a dogtooth agate, and it's designed to get into little tiny spots, but you can use other ones if you don't have something this detailed. I'm going to pull out another piece of gold. Now this is random gold that I ordered like forever ago. I think I got it off of Etsy and it came from India. So I can't tell you for sure what the carat quality is of this product. I have no idea. Okay, let me get a little bit here. Let's get some Gilder's liquor in here. And I don't mind if it goes back up under the other piece of gold. That doesn't harm it at all. It actually might help it grab down a little bit. Put that there. Come grab my piece. And let's lay it down like that. Again, just tamp it down a little bit with the tip. And if you look here, you can see it's already tightening down, whereas here it's still pretty loose. Now, you can see it's also going to run a little bit. That's what it's supposed to do. We're going to play with this just a little more, and all I'm going to do is gild this one spot, and then we're going to go work on something else while this sets up. My skin is so dry that the Vaseline's moisturizing me and not giving me anything to grab onto with my tip. Okay, let's hope that that is more than enough. I really give it a rub into the skin because you don't want to pick up a whole lot of it on your tip, otherwise, because it just makes your tip not work well. Gets it all gummy, and then you're I'm also going to tell you, I'm pushing this because I put a coat of this on here today, and I probably might have wanted to wait a couple days, but I didn't, because that's not me. Have you ever known me to wait? And I have a piece that's a gap there. So we're going to roll this around, get one more piece going, and we'll fill in those blanks, and then I'm going to set it aside. And we're going to let it cure up, dry up, and it needs to be completely dry to do the burnishing. And what burnishing is compressing, actually it's compressing the minerals in the gesso product to create this perfectly smooth, shiny surface. Oh, come on, come off of there. right, so let's come back in here. Let's do this. Actually, what I need is to use my knife, take a little bit off of here for one spot and a little bit off for another. All right, there's that spot. Again, we're going to put this right here. Okay. Now, as I said before, I am not trying for perfect on this. Oh, that's what I shouldn't. I should not have set this down on itself while it was wet. That's my fault. I should have been holding it like this. See, I told you I'm going to make the mistakes, but if I make them, then you get to watch how they get fixed. All right, so let's put a little bit of the Gilder's liquor in here. I thought about that as I did it, and then, well, too late. So sad. Too bad, so sad. My mistake. All right, this does not want to be separated from its other piece, and because it's pissing me off, I'm just going to do it with my fingers, which is absolutely the wrong way to do it, but I did it anyway. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put that there. Okay, let's get that under there. I really just can't get a pickup on my arm today. My skin is so dry, the Vaseline is just not wanting to grab the gold. Grab onto the brush to grab onto the gold. Ugh, it's gonna drive me nuts. Come on, pick up. Seriously, stop being so temperamental. And there we go. All right, so that's all laid down. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to set this piece to the side and let it finish drying. And of course, I'm standing it upright so that I don't ruin it again like I did right here. So you can see we've got a little red that ran off of here. And quite frankly, I'm not sure if that's the red running off because I didn't let it dry long enough, or if it's red running off because that's what's left from sanding it. It could be either. We're going to find out. Now, that's going to take a little while to dry. We're going to give it a shot. Now, let me bring the camera back up for a second. Again, this is a new product for me, and I am not an experienced water gilder like you just saw. Now, and don't get me wrong, you can use oil-based size over here. You can use our Roberson's water-based size. Both are wonderful. I'm trying the traditional because I'm not sure how long I need to wait with this to burnish it. So we're going to do another project. We're going to let that cure up for a little while. I'm going to see how dry it gets. If it feels like I can burnish it while we're still on camera, I'll give it a shot. If it feels like it needs to sit overnight, I'll burnish it in the morning and I'll let y'all know how it went. I'm truly trying to give you my honest assessment on how something works on something that I am challenged with. And this is why I say if I can make it work, anybody can. All right, let's pull while we're waiting for that to dry. And it shouldn't take too long to dry between the alcohol in it and the fact that it's water and it's on a water-based thing. It should absorb into the gesso. It should harden. It should dry really nicely. But we're gonna see just how long. I may be pushing it by trying to do it in like 30 minutes time. Let's see if anybody's here. Say, hey, Sharon and Diane and Barbara and Linda. Thank you for coming by. Okay, so while that sets up and dries, let's work on our bird woman. Now, as you recall, put this back down. Okay, so we were working on our bird woman here. Let's bring some light up. I may zoom this in a little bit so you all see better. She's cast iron, and I have blocked in basic colors here in platinum and silver and old silver and all kinds of other things. And now I'm going to start working on details and highlights. Okay, we used, which one did we use? Pearl blue, we used dark blue, we used a steel gray. I haven't used that one yet. We used solid silver, old silver, and then we have some of these other wonderful colors like silver blush and silver verde and stuff like that that have a little bit of the silver in it. I'm pulling over all the colors. We had some Baroque. So I want to play with a couple of these colors just to see how they work on here. Let's grab this brush. No, I think I used, I didn't use this one. I have to remember which colors I used where. So I used solid silver on the face. I get into my bottle and mix it up a little bit. For whatever reason, and this is one that we don't happen to have in stock right now because it seems very wet to me. So, nope, that's not the right one, I don't think. Platinum's that. Okay, that's the solid silver. So, which color did I use? Wow, this could be fun. This is me trying to figure out what colors I used. Oh, the joy of it. Maybe I did use metal silver. I don't think so, though. I think that's too late. If anybody remembers what color I used, please feel free to yell it out. Hey, Sharon, nice to see you here. I know that's too light. Let me pull my colors up because I moved things around the other day. Okay. I know there's champagne. That's twinkle. There's the silver verde that I wanted. Well, folks, this could be fun. I just have absolutely no memory of what color I used where. What did I use? Maybe I used old silver. Let's find out. We're going to give it a little tester. Grab my piece of paper towel. That's silver blush. Yep, that's the color I used. Old silver. Okay. You know, I have to check these things out because I can make it really hard on myself. Okay, so I used old silver here on the face, and if you can see, I'm coming back in with more of it to moisten that area. Why? Because we're going to then take a little of our silver blush so that we can kind of put a faint pink hue to the cheeks. And let that come back in and blend it a little bit. Won't look like much of anything until it's dry, but it will make all that difference. So again, I'm going to come in with the old silver here on the cheek and wipe that brush off. I'm just offloading the brush. I am not washing it out. I don't want it to make things watery. I just want to sort of blend the colors together. And what this does is gives a nice little bit of a highlight to it. I'm going to take a little bit of this silver blush, silver color, brush it on the lips. Just like a little highlight, but I will come back in and take a little bit of dark silver and blend it because I don't want it to look cartoony. I want it to have kind of a nice organic look to it. Let's take a little metal silver, which again is a color I'm looking to bring in. I'm going to bring it, just highlight this nose a little bit. Come up the nose. If any of you ladies contour your makeup, you'll be familiar with what I'm doing. I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little better. Let me get my zoom going. Okay, that should help you see a little. Now, remember, I'm doing this upside down, so I'm going to have to turn these around a little bit. Okay, that's solid silver. What color do I want? I want a little Baroque. Okay, so I'm going to take a little of the Baroque silver, gray color. I'm going to come into the eyes. I want to add a little depth into them. Then I'm going to come into this crease right here. Add a little detail to the eye. I can put a little bit there, but I don't want to do that because her vision is much more youthful than Green Man, so you don't want to add a lot of shadow at the eyes. And then I'm going to take, again, some of this metallic silver, or metal silver, and we're going to put it right along the edge of the lids. Just a little. So you want to make the eyes come out. Okay, I'm going to turn this around so I can see the other parts of the face so I don't do something really dumb. Okay, and then what I want to do is come back in under the nose here, kind of mark in the nostrils, maybe make one of them both the same size, that would be good. Put a little shadow in here into the crease in the lips. A little bit of shadow under the lip. And then we're going to start working on each of the leaves. Get a little more of this blended in here. Don't be afraid to stick your fingers and stuff too. And you see, as this silver blush dries, you don't see much of the color. But what it does is just, there's a very faint hint of pink in here that adds a nice blush to the cheek. I put a little on the chin. Of course, blending it out helps. Let's put a little bit up here at the temple. Go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to play with the shadows and the highlights in each of the leaves. That's the one I want to keep. This is the one I want to put away. All right. And then we're going to blend some colors and we're going to play with some other colors. I'm going to use a little bit of our Silver Verde, which is a slightly greenish silver. And I'm going to play into some of these leaves and just add a little bit there. Understand, things like the Silver Verde are going to be really subtle, but as then I add highlights and everything into it, the Silver Verde is going to make a really nice difference into it, especially on this platinum color, which has a little bit of warmth to it, so the Silver Verde kind of disappears a little bit, but it does really add just a lovely little hint of green to things. is very, very subtle on the platinum. It may be quite a bit brighter here on, yeah, it reads very differently on the solid silver. The green in it pops out much, much more. And I'm fine with that because we're going to do more details as soon as I pop some of this on here. Okay, so I like that where it is right now. We're going to put the Silver Verde away, and I'm going to take our Baroque and pour a little bit of it out here because I have a feeling it's just a little darker than what I want. To put in some shadows, I don't need it that dark. Take now the platinum, mix it there. Come on. Oh, for heaven's sake, just take the little drop off, for heaven's sake. Oh, there you go. Okay. Still maybe a little darker than I want. There we go. I love how well these paints mix together. You get these beautiful colors. They're so super easy to work with. Okay, so now I'm going to take that color and we're going to drop some shadows in here. And as you might notice, doing this, the shadows aren't really intense, which is what I want. I want depth. This has enough texture to it that it will create its own shadows and highlights. I just want to emphasize some of them. Because I'm going to emphasize highlights too. And we're going to make this wonderfully dimensional, which is my goal. And sometimes this is even hard for me to see. With all the light that I have on here reflecting, I can lose what I'm seeing. So it's not just you. If you're not catching all of the details that I'm doing on camera, even though you see where my brush is going, because there's so much light shining down, it can make it really tough to see because the paint's so reflective. That's why they call it liquid metal. Let's turn it. Things get sticky around here. I wonder why. We only have like 1 million jars of paints floating around, and Artsy-Vo foil adhesive and all that kind of stuff. And there's this. Really, all I'm doing is wherever there's a crevice, I'm kind of going in and just emphasizing it so that the details stand out stronger. Okay, now I'm going to take this side. I'm going to come back up here. Where's my water? Over there. So we used, which is a true silver up here. That is going to be a little more liquid than I want it to be right now. I don't know what it is about that one color. Just wants to be a little on the liquid side. And I think actually I'm going to use the Baroque straight into these crevices because I can brush it in thin. That'll work nicely. This is so pretty. Such a pretty casting, and I think I told you all earlier, I found it on Amazon. Wasn't terribly expensive, and I wanted it to complement the Green Man that I picked up in Cape Cod this summer that I had painted in all those beautiful autumn colors. So I thought this one would be really pretty to do in cooler tones. To show you how beautiful all these silvers are. Come in and blend this a little bit. This Baroque will blend in with the, give me a little softer line right there. It doesn't just look like I had the bright silver line, which was bugging me. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of our metal silver, which is almost a pearly white silver, and we're going to pick up some highlights here. I'm going to use this to highlight all of it, because it dries kind of translucent. But I also don't want to take out any of that beautiful silver Verity color that I added in here. So I just really want to make some things pop. Okay, let's do that also here on the platinum. Look how pretty that is. I'm going to come back in just a little more around the eye just to make sure I get that on there. Let me put a little bit there, a little bit there. look how pretty this is going to be. These colors are so beautiful. Hey Maddie, nice to see you here. Thanks for popping in. So this is probably going to be one of the next ones to come in, is our metallic silver and then solid silver. Brought in a lot of golds. I think I might need to bring in a few more silvers. So the next time I place an order with Robersons, this is going to be what we bring in. You guys really seem to be loving the Robersons. I appreciate it, because you know, it can be scary to bring in something from overseas and see how people here like it, but you all really, you guys are going crazy buying it, and I'm very grateful. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's bought it and purchased from me and you know, confirmed that it was a good idea. Same with all the Whitson's products. I think we're getting some really interesting things happening here at Painted Studio, things that nobody else has. And I'm very excited about that. This is just adds those nice little highlights. And again, I'm sorry if it's hard for you guys to see it all with, you know, the lights. That's unfortunately the nature of metallics with these lights. It just reflects back a lot, and you don't always see the details until I pick it up and move it around, which I promise I'm going to do as soon as we finish putting in details. All right, so let's do a few highlights and shadows on the bird. I think I'm going to take a little steel for some of the shadows on the birds. Let me rinse my brush out. Yes, I do own more than one brush. I know you know that, but I'm working with this one today. Just makes my life easier not to constantly switch around. Okay, let's come in here. Let's come around here. Got a few little. The bird's got a little texture, so I'm trying to embrace the texture. This one. And you know, the funny thing is the casting on each bird is different. This one you don't see the lines like you do right here for the what would be feathers, but it's a coarse casting, so it's not like that. Here it's very just sort of divotty. And there's far less detail on the eye and on the beak and the wing. It's really interesting how, you know, these hand-created castings end up looking on things. So let's turn this around. Try not to twist all the paper every which way. It's really interesting. It fascinates me as I turn this around and see how each spot is a little differently handled. Okay, and then we're going to put some highlights on it. And I think we'll go into solid silver. Let me shake this bottle up a little bit. Whatever reason, this one bottle is very, very liquid, and I know I've said that about 3 times today, but it still surprises me because the other ones are also creamy. It still covers beautifully. Still has stunning color, stunning detail. It's just interesting. Let's do this. A little bit in here too. Let's get a little bit on that too. Get the 4th one up here. Okay, that's that detail. So I think the last bit of highlighting I need to do is right in here with the blues, and a little shadow in there, and then we should be ready to call it done. Okay, let's get for shadow. Here's my pale blue. And let's pour just a little bit out. Ooh, I'm running to the bottom of my jar. So I may just have to scoop some out. So fortunately, we don't need a lot. That's enough. And let's take a little bit of the Baroque. There we go. Let's give it a little mix. Oh, that'll be a nice shadow color. Okay, let's offload my brush a little because I've got way too much paint on it for what I'm going to do. Alrighty. I know it's hard to see, but this is really lovely like this. Just adds a little more detail, and I will come in and highlight with another color so it doesn't look just all dark shadows. Okay, there's that. And I think we're going to come back in with our silver metal. And highlight it. There. Go. And I would say we have completed her. Now I will flip her over. I will kind of angle her up, see if you can get a little better idea of the shadows and the highlights, although again, super bright lights in here can make that a challenge. Okay, so let's take a look and see. You can see all that little detail. All that stuff that's shadows and highlights are actually emphasized by paint. And I am very, very pleased with this. So I'm going to set her aside to finish drying. And we're going to pull back our gilded piece. Now, let me fold this over so I don't make a mess of it. I cannot guarantee that this burnishing today will be a success. We're going to just test it because it may still be too wet. Now, I'm going to kind of zoom in a little bit so you all can see better. So you can see it's kind of wrinkly, crinkly here. And normally I would take a little skewings brush, burnish that, dust off all that little extra bit. But right now what I want to test is the burnishing. And this, if it's ready and it's not, see how it's scratching off? That means it's too wet. I just scratched it off right there. So that still needs to dry. I was hoping to be able to burnish, but it's too wet. I gave it a shot. I'll wait a little while. We'll come back. I'll try it again tomorrow. We're going to see how it all works, because until everything's dry, all that Gilder's liquor and all that moisture has to come out of this surface to allow me to be able to burnish it. It has to be dry, dry, dry. If I try to do it wet, you saw it scratches right off. Why? Because it's activating the minerals underneath, and therefore it's a soft surface and it's not dry, so you're digging into it. Don't want to do that, so we're going to let that dry. Let's see how I do tomorrow. All right, everybody. Let me see if there's any questions. Hi, Julie and Claudette. And thank you for the sprinkle. Hi, Debbie. Again, I ask for you all to sprinkle the love. We appreciate it. Keep an eye out. Next week, we are coming up on Thanksgiving. We will definitely have some Black Friday and Cyber Monday specials going on. We are out of the studio again tomorrow. We go into our video studio tomorrow, a special part of our studio that I don't go into when I'm not working with my buddy Miguel, who does all the professional stuff that you might see on Instagram and those photos with those bright colored backgrounds that are so cool. Today, you're just catching me in my little workspace here. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for giving me some of your time, and let's hope this works. All right, thanks. Bye.